back to another video, and today I have YGO Tony over here with me.
Hello, hello.
And he's going to be showing us his PK deck profile. Now, before I do get into the video, he does have a YouTube channel, and if you guys even remotely like mine, you are sure to love his. So be sure to check that out. I will leave the link in the description down below. Without further ado, do you want to take it from here?
Sure. Thanks for the shout out, by the way. So this PK deck, if you're hoping for that kind of wombo combo build that like makes F-Zero and all those big stuff, this is not that deck. The more I played that deck, the more I realized that it's so much easier to lose to hand traps and lose to disruption, and especially with the amount of board breakers in the game, lose to those things, than it's just to play a tempo game like how Tri-Brigade wins a lot of their matches. So instead I have a little more of a grindy version of the deck. Starting off, we have just the 4 Phantom Knights. We have 4 Torn Scale. 3 Torn Scale, 3 Ancient Cloak, 3 Boots, and 3 Gloves. All these cards have a graveyard effect. In the graveyard, they banish itself to do something. For example, Boots, Cloak banish itself to search for a PK, or the Phantom Knight's card. This is going to be important. This banish itself to search for a Phantom Knight's spell or trap card. This dumps a Phantom Knight monster, and when a Phantom Knight card is banished, this special summons itself from the graveyard. Furthermore, they also have some unique effects while on the field. You can discard a card to send any Phantom Knight card from the deck to the graveyard, and this can send not only monsters but also spells and traps, which can be useful. This can turn itself to defense to increase one of your Dark Monsters' attack by 800. Also really useful when you need to get over things like a window. This special summons itself as an inherent effect, which means that it does not activate and gets over some forms of response. And this, when you make a Dark Exceeds monster with it, gives that monster 1,000 additional attack. Also relevant a lot of times when you need to make your rank 3s a little bigger. But you're going to be using these consistently throughout the game, grinding with these guys to outgrind your opponent and break them from there. Alright, moving on to the non-Phantom Knight cards. We're actually playing a rather weird engine consisting of one of these Psychic Wielders and one Nyan Nyan. So Psychic Wielder, you already know. Psychic Wielder's effect is if you control level 3, you special summon it. It's just a level 3 extender. But Nyan Nyan's the cool one here. See, when a level 3 is normal special summon, you can special summon this card from the graveyard, but it gets banished when it leaves the field. However, if you were to overlay with this, it doesn't get banished. What that means is that once this card hits the graveyard, at any point if I normal special summon one of my Phantom Knights, this special summons itself onto the field to make a free rank 3. And this deck, while it does lock you into only level monsters of level 3 or higher, this deck doesn't link as much as you think it does, so it consistently grinds with this card to make a lot of great rank 3s like your Breaksword to pop your opponent's field and then push through from that. And the cool part about this is that you can even activate this with some of the traps on your opponent's turn to bring back a level 3 on your opponent's turn, summon this back, to end up with 3 monsters going to your opponent's turn. Then from there we have 2 Kagemucha Knight. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like this card. I really didn't think I needed any more extenders, more as I needed just more responses, and I consistently sided this card out. However, it is important sometimes if you do want to make a more powerful going first front, to play these just as additional extenders to make a rank 3 to get into your Bardiche.
Oh, and just for some insight over here, we're at Untouchables, so yeah, just the locals. This is a post-tournament, by the way.
We are back on locals, yeah, I forgot. This is a great
Yeah, this is a post-tournament list.
Yeah, so going into the hand traps, we have 3 Ash, 3 Valor. I think this is just the best hand traps at the current moment. Valor is fantastic right now. Ash, just because it's Ash. I don't need to say much about that. Going into the spells, we start off with the 1 Foolish Burial, dump the Phantom Knights. We have the 1 DDR, which we can activate, discarding a Phantom Knight to bring back one of the banished Phantom Knights we have. We have the 1 Rotor to search into our Phantom Knights, and then we have an E-Telly. Mind you, again, Nyan Nyan and Psychic Wielder are both psychic, so this is another way to get into them, specifically your Nyan Nyan to start your start the generation engine off that way. And it's just another extender as well. And then we also play 3 Forbidden Droplets. There's enough things that you lose to just off the bat, like a Winda, or sometimes just a Mechaba when you don't have a lot of places. And this is a great card because not only lets you launch your Phantom Knights to activate their graveyard effects, but also lets you launch spell and trap cards that you have, like your Phantom Knight traps, which are maybe sitting dead on the field. So you actually have a lot of things to launch to turn off your opponent's field.
Not to mention, he does have the ultis, so that's definitely a plus.
Yes, also these ultis are oddly for some reason misprinted. Just putting that out there.
Nice fact.
Going into the traps, we have the 3 Fog Blade. Fog Blade, when activated, targets a monster. It then, as a continuous effect, it negates that monster's effect, prevents it from being attacked, and prevents it from attacking. Not only can you use this to negate essentially your opponent's monsters and stop battle effects, you can also use it to target one of your own monsters at times to prevent your opponent from attacking you. This was a little relevant when I played against a Grand Maju player. He put up a full field of an OTK, and I Fog Bladed my own Bardiche so he couldn't OTK me. And then from there, I just killed him from there. This deck is actually, fortunately, what's cool about this deck is that this deck is still capable of putting up a lot of massive damage out of nowhere, just because of the fact that you have something like Arc Rebellion. So sometimes it just pays well to just grind your opponent out and force your opponent to commit into you. Likewise, we have the one Wings, which lets you target a monster, give a 500 attack, and then it can't be destroyed by battle once, or battle card effects once. But these cards also have the additional effect where in the graveyard you can banish them to bring back a Bandmine monster, but they get banished. And these, because these are traps, they can be activated on either player's turn. This is another form of recursion, which is fantastic, but once again, combined with something like Nan Nan, you could bring back potentially 3 or 4 monsters on your opponent's turn to then build a board in the following turn after you've slowly grinded them out with these cards. We have the one Shade Brigandine, it's another level 4 extender that we could just use as a dark extender. We have 3 Torrential. As it turns out, cards like our Breaksword float off of any means, and this card just, if your opponent plays into it, it's just a blowout. And then we have the 3 Imperm, because effect negation is effect negation.
Awesome.
Going into the extra deck, I'm going to only show 14 cards as a signature thing. We have, starting with links, we have the one Almirage. Sometimes you just open a Phantomite and you just have to send it to the graveyard. Well, this is the way to do it. We have the one Predaplan Vertic Anaconda. We do not make Dragoons. This is just because sometimes I need the monster to link into that's a dark that can make more darks.
So you can even run like, I don't know, some generic, like Beat Cup from the
It could be anything, but the cool part is this does turn monsters on my field in the dark. If I somehow end up with 2 darks and a Psychic Wielder, I can turn that into a dark and then go from there, go into a Bardies from that.
Broken.
We're playing the one Cherubini just so that we can dump, as a cost, one of our Phantomites to the graveyard. And sometimes you beat down with this, it's not the greatest thing. We're playing the one Unicorn, bouncing cards. We're playing the one Bardiche, this is the main playbook of the deck. You send a Phantomite to set a Phantomite spell or trap card, which is fantastic. And then if a Dark Exceeds monster is special summoned to its own opponent's 2, it pops a card. This is especially relevant since in a lot of our games, we'll just be playing Breaksword a lot. And this just makes Breaksword 10 times more deadly. And not only can it pop your opponent's card, you can also pop your own Breaksword and get this effect off that way.
Yep.
We're playing the one Access Code. Sometimes you game your opponent that way. It just be that way. You can't make this with the Bardiche because it can't be used as link material, but when you go into the link climb of like Unicorn onward, you can just kill your opponent that way with that.
For budget players, do you think Borosword would be fun?
Yeah, you can play Borosword. Honestly, sometimes I thought Borosword might have been better just because I already was popping in everything as it is, and I didn't have to go into my link climb like that. Honestly, you could, if anything, you don't even need to play this. This was sometimes a nice to have, but it wasn't something I went into commonly unless I felt like I really needed to kill my opponent that way.
Awesome.
We then have 3 Breaksword. This is the key maker of the deck here. It's the first effect that you could detach one, acts as a scrap dragon. You target one of yours, you target one of your opponents, blow both up. Great, now it floats. When it gets sent to the graveyard after it's been sea summoned and destroyed, it special summons 2 Phantomites from your graveyard of the same level and increases their level by 1. So essentially, you make this with 2 level 3 Phantomites. You pop a card on your opponent's side of the field, you pop this card, and then you bring them back as level 4s. And that's really good because then you can make rank 4s that way. You're locked into darks, but you do have enough darks in the game right now to actually do a lot of cool stuff. And because this card floats off of anything, you can torrential, you can do whatever. Sometimes you just sit on this and your opponent still has to out 3 monsters that way. From there, we have the one Evil Swarm Nightmare. This is one of the cards you make once you bring back your Phantomites through the effect of your Breaksword. It books monsters. Sometimes that's just what it is. Combined with 2 Fog Blades, this is just 4 disruptions, easy off the field. We have the one Raider's Knight. Raider's Knight lets you detach material, rank up or down into a Phantomite monster. Which is cool because not only can you rank up into an Arc Rebellion, you can also rank down into another Breaksword. And Breaksword is not once per turn. What that means is that you can go Breaksword, pop a card, summon 2 level 4s, overlay into Raider Knight, detach material, go into another Breaksword, pop another card, bring back the Phantomites again, overlay into another monster. It just lets you pop 2 cards, which is really easy to do. It's also a Phantomite card, sometimes that's useful. We have the one Dark Rebellion, just because I didn't have another Dark to play, I just might as well detach to make him big. Could have been something else. We then have the Arc Rebellion. This is how I kill my opponent in most games. My opponent commits to a board, I make this off of the Raider's Knight, I detach material against the original attack of everything on the field, except for itself, and then if it has an Exceeds material under it, Exceeds monster has Exceeds material under it, it negates the field. So sometimes I would detach it, negate the effects of everything, turn everything that had a variable attack into 0, and just hit them for 8k straight off of 1 monster. And since this thing can be destroyed by card effects, it's kind of hard to out if your opponent doesn't have the immediate effect negation. And you usually do this after you grind out your opponent's resources, and then you just kill them with this. And in the odd chance we somehow don't actually use Breaksword's effect, we're playing the one Zeus. And that is 14 cards in extra deck.
Awesome.
Because I don't want to do
And just as a small reminder for you guys, this is not a combo Phantom Knights list. This is, in my opinion, it's a bit better actually. And once again, thank you so much for YGO Tony for coming onto the channel. The link to his channel will be down in the description. And of course, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Alright guys,
Take
peace.
care.